Conservatives will do whatever we can to replace the corrupt government.
Almost like everyone here knew this was not just the House rising for the summer, but that they may have to fight to return to the job at all.
Canadians deserve accountability, transparency, and ethics. That is what they will get from a Conservative government.
Canadians want politicians to be focused on them, on their needs. And that's what we've done every step of the way.
This Prime Minister has often said he's got the backs of Canadians. It's not having their backs to cut the help they need while we are still in this pandemic.
In a caucus speech that could well have been an election rally, the official opposition leader drew battle lines.
4 parties on the left, the Liberals, the NDP, the Greens, and the Bloc Québécois, give the illusion of choice. It's an agenda of 4 shades of red.
That political divide, just about the only thing he and Justin Trudeau seem to agree on.
I hope that parties that call themselves progressive, like the Bloc and the NDP, will work with us. The Conservative Party is still doing everything they can to block this very important work.
But though opinion polls have shown the Liberals leading since the start of the pandemic, some warn there's a danger in pulling a trigger too soon.
If this Delta variant starts to spread rapidly, as we've seen in some parts of Ontario, for example, I think there would be some hesitation on the part of anyone who's responsible to want to call an election at that time.
MPs are officially scheduled to return in September. Yet, despite 20 months of this parliament collaborating to pass legislation, Justin Trudeau's recent rhetoric calling the House a place of toxicity and obstructionism suggests he's got his eyes on 3 sets of figures: COVID-19 cases, vaccination rates, and his own numbers. Rafi Bujikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
Our chief political correspondent, Rosie Barton, joins us now. So, Rosie, walk us through this. How do we end up in an election then?
Well, listen, a couple of pretty big caveats. Nothing's been decided. Given the pandemic, things could obviously change. The priority is still to get Canadians fully vaccinated and move on. But as Rafi mentioned, the Prime Minister's always claimed that if it becomes too difficult to govern, that would be a reason to go to the people. In this case, he claims everyone is impeding his ability to govern, even the progressive parties who have supported his legislation time and again. This is a minority government. Things are not supposed to be easy. And the government itself has had some trouble getting its legislation going. C10, the digital update to the Broadcasting Act, is a good example. It was slow going because of how the government managed it, not the opposition parties. That said, there's another argument the Prime Minister is talking more about, and that is post-pandemic, the country needs to decide what's the priority, what needs to be improved, the direction of the country overall, and that could be a more compelling debate to have as a country and to decide who leads the recovery. And you can see Erin O'Toole today starting to make that case for the Conservative Party, trying to lump all the progressive parties into one basket and reduce the choices for Canadians down to 2.
Okay, so that is a long list of considerations, but there are probably a lot more.
Yeah, there's a risk when it comes to elections for the governing party, Adrienne. Obviously, the Liberals want to get more. They want a majority. That's not a given at this stage, given the polling situation. There are provincial elections on the horizon they would need to avoid. There's a small window where they can potentially benefit from the vaccination campaign. A Conservative leader is still not super well known in the country and untested. So you can see how the political gamble for an election starts to make some sense for the Liberals. It's also worth pointing out the minority government typically only lasts 18 to 24 months, and we are coming up on that deadline.
Indeed we are. All right, Chief Political Correspondent Rosie Barton in Ottawa. Thanks, Rosie.
Thanks.